Hey everybody, welcome back to the High Performance Zone. Today I have Michael Dash. We talk about getting into flow states, overcoming adversity, but it starts off with a tattoo on his arm. Life is a gift. Gratitude is its signature. That's what this podcast is all about. That's glad to be here. Ready? Hit it. Hey, Michael, welcome to the High Performance Zone. By the way, I love your tattoo. Show me the tattoo on your arm real quick. What is that? Can you read it?
I just got this tattoo.
You just got it? Okay, I'm reading it. Life is a gift. Gratitude is its signature. Holy crap, brother. That speaks to my heart. How come you got that as a tattoo?
January 3rd, I got it. I wanted to start the new year off with it. Boom, right away. I heard it at a Joe Dispenza retreat last June.
Really?
I actually just got back from my second Joe Dispenza retreat a couple of days ago. And it just, the saying resonated with me. As soon as I heard it, I turned to my buddy. I said, I'm getting that as a tattoo. He's like, shut up. And I wrote it down, and it's just been like in my universe, in my, mind circulating. And then at the end of the year, I go through this whole thing where I write down everything I learned, some of the patterns that I went through the previous year, if I accomplished the things I wanted to, what I could improve on. And then I was like, that saying, I want to remember how grateful I am for the life that I've created. And whenever I feel like I want to complain about something, I want to be able to look down and remember that I have the privilege of complaining. A lot of people don't, because it's their life. So that's why I got it, basically. And I love it. And yeah, life is a gift. Gratitude is a signature. Just reminds me to stay grounded and appreciate every day I live.
Man, brother, that's what glad to be here means to me. And I'm kind of curious. You just got back from Joe, right? And I can feel your energy. You're still on a high.
Yeah.
Give us what's the takeaway there? What did you experience?
Wow, what did I experience? So this is the second time, so I kind of had an idea what to experience. But really, it's, first of all, you meditate in a week more than most people meditate in a year. Like we do, like he has us up one day at 4 a.m. in the morning doing a 4-hour meditation. Wow. And it's like goes by like this. You're like, wait, it's over? Like, really? Like you think, yeah. So
now, was this virtual or in person?
No, in person, 1,400 people. It was in Cancun.
Oh, it was in Cancun. Wonderful.
Yeah, well, they call it Cancun, but it's really closer to Playa.
Okay.
But yeah, 1,400 people. I mean, he's got a massive following, but he's really allowing you to tap into the field and to really bring heart and mind coherence, into your life, to open up your heart and to realize how mystical that you can get within your own body through these practices, but also how healing the practices are. He's got scientific studies that, and he's healing people with cancer. He's healing people with Crohn's disease. He's healing people with depression, with addiction, with all sorts of diseases and things that are occurring to them. And, it's interesting because, the medical community doesn't really want him to be known, because it's the exact opposite of what they tell you when they prescribe you this medication, that medication, and want you going through chemo and all these other things as soon as you hear the word cancer. He's got scientific studies showing that how his work is overcoming these things, because he broke his back and he healed himself through meditation and breath work.
Wow. So how about yourself? What was your personal aha moment? I mean, besides what you have on your wrist, gratitude is a signature. What was it?
At the event?
Yeah. Or just in your life?
Oh, well, in my life, I mean, that's a whole nother story. But at the event, I wrote this experience I had, and I'll read it because it's so powerful. This is from the event, then I'll get to my life. And this is after one of the walking meditations on the beach.
Okay.
I had never felt this before. It was an electric shock I felt through my body, penetrating every cell. My body was vibrating at a level I never experienced before. This was a full body orgasm of epic proportion with a bright light traveling through my body, a pure feeling of abundant joy that radiated from my head to my toe, from my first chakra to my eighth, a vibration of ecstasy that I never thought was possible to feel through this work. I've seen others experience this and had the limiting mindset of believing it was forced. But having experienced it myself, the judgment has been released. Yet another lesson on the path of knowing anything in this life is possible. I saw myself with the love of my life skipping on the beach in each other's arms, being so deeply in love with ourselves that it radiated love for each other.
Whoa.
And I wrote that down right after because I couldn't believe what I was feeling and experiencing.
Wow. And what got you into that state? What was it that got you into that state?
It's his meditation. It's like some of the meditations that he's curated. There's a heart-mind meditation where he brings your heart and your mind together as one.
Yep.
So it's like mind, heart, mind. It's one. And it's just a pure joy of ecstasy. And you're working all your energy by breathing through each chakra. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then he has you doing this motion with your hands where you're bringing your breath up and then you're holding it right on your chakra here, your throat chakra. And then you're pushing it out through your crown chakra. And the release of that energy causes this vibration through your whole body. So it was amazing because, to be frank, between you and me, I thought it was all BS before I did it.
Oh, this is so cool. Okay, I want to get into, and we'll do this later on. I want to get into the chakras and that energy and the breath work because I think that's real important. A guy named Andrew Huberman in the Huberman Lab, I don't know if you're familiar with him, talks about some of these things, the breath work.
He's a friend of mine. Yeah.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Well, let's just go right there. How do you know Andrew?
Well, I don't know if it's the same Huberman, actually. Andrew Huberman.
Of Stanford, the lab. So he's the one that's doing the science behind really how the mind works and how it integrates into neurology, neurobiochemistry. And he's got a podcast out there also.
Oh, you know what?
Huberman Labs.
It's a different Huberman. Sorry, I got confused.
That's all right.
He owns a big media company, the Huberman I know, but maybe they're related. Who knows? Anyway, back to the scheduled programming.
Yeah. Okay. So, you're wearing a shirt called #activated.
Yeah.
And I want my audience to really dive into, where did that come from? Give me a little bit of your background. First off, you're out there you're out there with Joe, you're experiencing life at a whole new level. But why is that?
Yeah, so I grew up the son of an entrepreneur in New Jersey, and I knew I would always be an entrepreneur. So from an early age. I also at the same time was started gambling when I was 10 years old. And I gambled.
At 10 years old, gambling with money or gambling with what?
Money. I worked for my dad since I was 8, so he would pay me to go work, and then I would take that money and give it to the guys in the warehouse, my dad's store, and they would take me to the horse track, and then we would bet on horses in New Jersey.
Wow.
And then that elevated to football games, and that elevated to little league coach being a bookie and him taking bets. And then I got a job outside of my father's. I was a little older than all the kids I grew up with. So then I got a job like when I was 16 or 17. So I always had money, and I was pretty good at my job at selling. So I always had money, and I was gambling, and I gambled all the way through college, and then became a bookie in college. And it was my first addiction. I went through a lot of addiction in my life. So that was my first addiction. It was a 20-year gambling addiction. And thankfully I'm 15 years plus clean now. But growing up, I knew I was going to be an entrepreneur, and I was gambling a lot. So money was all around me, and my focus was on gaining as much money as I possibly could. And if I did, then I would be happy. This is, from my father, from the media, from friends, from, the societal pressures. That's what I believed. And that's all I knew and all I focused on. So after I graduated college, I got a job in the city, and I started selling sports advertising, and I made a lot of money. I was doing really well. But I was pissing it away on gambling. And at that time I started doing coke. and weed and a bunch of other stuff. And I had a 10-year cocaine addiction. It wasn't a daily addiction, thankfully, but it was a weekend addiction. Every single weekend, I would be doing cocaine and I would be gambling, and I would be in like strip clubs, like all weekend. This is my life, back in my 20s after.
So how'd you break that pattern? Because you've broken that pattern now.
Yeah.
How did you do that?
So first thing I did was I went to Gamblers Anonymous, and it saved my life. My brother was actually going, and he wouldn't let me listen to sports radio when we were in the car together. And I said, why? And he told me he's going to Gamblers Anonymous. And I told him how stupid I thought that was. And then over the weeks and months, I started seeing him being lighter and everything. And then I was like, you know what? I want to come check this Gamblers Anonymous out. I want to know what they did to my brother. So so I went there and I realized I had more in common with all those people than I did with my closest friends. And I was in there with blue collar people, like police officers, teachers, mail delivery people, bus drivers, everybody that I thought I was better than because I wore a pinstripe suit, worked in the city, was in my 20s and had a $5,000 watch on. But it all meant absolutely nothing in the big scheme of things. So Gamblers Anonymous saved my life in a sense. And I was able to stop gambling through that and work the program pretty hard. So I had the foundation of how to stop other addictions of mine, because cross addiction is a very prevalent thing in the addiction world.
Yeah. How does Gambling Anonymous work with like AA? Because I know that's another program that has changed so many people's lives and is so powerful. And they go through the 12 steps. Is that similar?
Yeah, it's very, very similar. It's the same premise for all the anonymous programs. They're separate programs, but the same premise. Alcoholics Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous, Overeaters Anonymous, Gambling Anonymous. The same premise of working the steps. It's just slanted to what each addiction is, but it's basically the same type of work.
Those 12 steps I find are so powerful. I don't have them memorized. Maybe we could go through a couple of them that you really activated, because we get back to this word activated. Which are the ones that, if not all of them combined, how did it change you?
Well, it forced me to take inventory.
Okay.
To really go internally and take some self-inventory on the character traits that I was displaying, and then versus the person who I wanted to be.
Right.
And those things are mostly disconnected. A lot of people want to be a certain way, but then they never look at they never actually look at their actions and draw a parallel line, if it is parallel, to those actions versus to the person you want to be. And I call that taking inventory. Right. So when you start taking inventory about how you're acting and then how you're treating yourself, because it all starts with how you treat yourself. If you're not loving yourself, how do you expect to love somebody else?
Exactly.
You have to love yourself first. If you're not being soft on yourself, how can you be soft on somebody? If you're not compassionate with yourself, how can you be compassionate with others? It's a charade. You're living a double life. And when I say you, I'm speaking to me. I'm not speaking to anybody in particular. Everybody has their own journey, and I'm not telling how anybody should do anything. But when I speak to my former self, because I would never listen to anybody. I had to learn the hard way. And, sometimes that we have to do that as humans. But if I had somebody back then that I have now, I would have fast tracked a lot of the healing that I went through.
And I'm with you. Okay, so that's the background, powerful background. The reason, though, that we asked you to be on the high performance zone is what you're doing now, right? How you overcome those challenges and how you're out there actually helping people. So what is it that you're doing right now?
Yeah, and excuse me about that, allergy season here. Actually, I live in Tulum, Mexico now. And,
you actually live in Tulum? Is that where you are right now?
Yeah, I live in Tulum. That's where I am. Yep.
Oh, so no wonder that Cabo or Cancun was close. You just had to drive up the
It was the best. I love, a great thing about living in Tulum is a lot of people come to me. I don't have to go all over the place to visit them. They're all
Right.
coming here. So it's great. Yeah.
Hey, I remember
Um,
Tulum about 20 years ago. It wasn't discovered yet. It was that magical place. What's it like now?
it's a magical place that's been discovered
Yeah.
with like overcrowding and over too much construction and all these things with a lot of partying going on. But I don't really go into that area. Like I have a whole spiritual community here and I love it. I actually absolutely love it. It has a little of everything that you could want. So yeah, but back to your question, fast forward, after my experience in New York, I ended up starting a business in Salt Lake City, Utah, which I had for 12 years. And during that time, I bought out my business partner after we built it over 5.5 years to doing 5 million a year. And quickly thereafter, we got into
What type of business was it? What were you guys doing?
It was a staffing and recruiting business focused on technology and financial resources.
Okay, got it.
Very popular in Utah because Utah is actually a tech hub in the country that nobody really knows about unless you know about it.
Yeah.
Major-
Well, and also MLMs, right? It's incredible.
Yeah, it's the home of MLMs, but that don't even.
And that's for everybody. Mark MLM, marketing
multi-level marketing. Don't even get me started on those companies.
All right.
Get off my soapbox, but yeah. So I started it there in Utah, and business is going great. I bought my business partner out because we weren't seeing eye to eye, and then we got into a legal battle, and that was a 6-year lawsuit that we ended up in. And
between you and your partner?
My ex-business partner. Yeah.
Ex-business partner. Okay.
It cost me over $1 million in legal fees, just my own attorneys, over a $350,000 dispute.
Whoa.
I was not aligned with myself. I was not aligned with anything. The only thing I was aligned with was winning, quote unquote, winning.
Yeah.
As if that mattered. But to me, it did because I didn't know any better. I hadn't started on any personal development work or anything. So I ended up going to a retreat in Bali just because I wanted to go to Bali for no other reason. I didn't even know what the retreat was about. But while I was at that retreat, there were two people talking about flow consciousness and living in flow. And is there cursing on the show?
What's that?
Can I curse on the show or not?
Yeah, you do anything.
Oh, okay, great.
Yeah, just
and
be
like
real, man. Be real.
The whole premise of flow is if it's not a hell yes in your life, it should be a fuck no in everything that you do. If it's not a hell yes, it should be a fuck no. And I didn't believe in this. I just believe that there's going to be a lot of stuff in life that I need to do that I'm not going to want to do. And that's just how it is. But they have this whole premise that, no, that's not reality. You don't have to do things you don't want to do and still build a beautiful life. That you can manifest anything you want. There's synchronicities all around you. Now, at that point in my life, I never used the word manifestation and never used the word synchronicity. I mean, I'm from Jersey. We don't say that shit. We just don't say it,
Right. No, hey, bring up, how do you talk in Jersey? Give me a Jersey conversation real quick.
Well, it was a coincidence. I mean, shit happens, good shit happens if you work hard. That's right. It. What is this manifestation bullshit? What is this synchronicity nonsense? No, they're coincidences. So that's just what I thought,
Right.
But I realized that wasn't really true, that there are a lot of synchronicities all around us and nothing is a coincidence. And if you allow the universe to work for you, then it will. I always thought the universe was working against me. When one or two bad things would happen, then I would say, oh, okay, well, bad things happen in threes. So when's the next one going to happen? That's just what I believed. But I met these two people. I pushed back on them. But eventually I decided I'm going to take their course. So when I got back from Bali, I took this 8-week course and it changed the trajectory of my life. Like we went through journaling and releasing limiting beliefs through tapping, EMDR. And I really started to shift my mindset. And I was in this lawsuit for years at this point. Eventually, after 6 years, I was able to settle the lawsuit and sell my business within the same week. and
Whoa.
basically start over. Everything I had made, it was basically gone over that period of time because of this legal battle. But the lessons that I learned, I could take with me for life. And I
Well, let's
rewired my entire nervous system. And, I started coaching other entrepreneurs on how to run their businesses. And then we started this nonprofit called Activated. It's called activate.life. And it focuses on mental health in the entrepreneur community.
Okay, man. See, this is where I want to dive in. First off, thank you for the experiences you've gone through, and now you're out there taking those lessons and helping others, right? And I'm glad you started a nonprofit. We got the Glad to Be Here Foundation. Same thing, man. It's about giving back, right, to others. Yeah. But give me some of those lessons. So, what is the lessons you learned? Because we don't want people to have to experience what you just did.
Yeah, the number one is not to make emotional decisions and to really be able to control your emotions at work, in relationships, with friends, in all aspects of your life. And, there's different ways to do that, but breathing is a big one, something that everybody takes for granted because you don't have to try to breathe, you just breathe. But when you really learn how to breathe deeply and how to control your nervous system through breath when you're in high panic situations or high, let's say, sensitivity situations, then it can really be a game changer. The other thing I learned is how to communicate effectively to people to lead them to an outcome that will benefit them. So, and what I mean by that, like if I need somebody to, like if I'm working with somebody, coaching somebody, and I really believe that they have all the answers. We all have all the answers. As humans, we have all the answers. Sometimes though, we need somebody to help guide us to the answers. It's never about telling somebody what to do. It's about guiding them so they have the realization that if they do this certain thing, that their life could become better, that they could actually see an outcome to their life that would change something, that it could lead them to a different thought process, that would lead them to a different outcome. So those are the major really lessons that I take with myself. And also the relationship that we all have with money is an extremely important one. We all work on relationships with our spouses or whoever we're with. We all work on relationships with our employees. We all work on relationships with our family. But what a lot of people don't do is work on relationships they have with money. And that's extremely, extremely important.
Let's dive into that, because your relationship as a 10-year-old, right, when you started thinking about the gambling, the money, how has it changed? What is the relationship with money that you have learned is a better way to go?
Yeah, well, I mean, for me personally, the biggest thing with the money situation is all I did when I was growing up is wanted money, because I believed that money equaled happiness. Once I was rich, I'd have the cars, I'd have the houses, I'd have the pinstripe suits, I'd get the women, everything that I wanted. I'd have, eventually, I used to tell people that I want to work my tail off till I'm 50. And then at 50, I'm going to buy a yacht and retire and sail around the world. I mean, how ridiculous, but I would tell everybody who would listen. And that was my main motivation. But until I started doing things that didn't make me happy, just because I was good at them and made money. So like my biggest lesson in life is for myself is that I will never do anything just strictly for money reasons. Like everything that I do is because it opens my heart. It can impact other people. By impacting other people, I'm impacting myself. By seeing others grow, I'm growing. And obviously I want to make money doing it, but the premise of why I do it isn't for the money. Money is a secondary that comes along with the great work and influence that I have on others and that I'm putting out in the world.
Well, you use the word impact, and I think that's real important, right? If you can impact people, if you can impact their lives. When I was a Blue Angel, we used to impact kids' hopes and dreams. By the way, we flew. But, now I get a chance to impact the audiences I speak with in a different way. I can use that analogy, but it all is about impacting people's lives, right? And I think let's get back to gratitude, because to me, that's the biggest impact, right? And you got it tattooed on your forearm. How do you use gratitude to impact others?
Wow, that's a great question. So gratitude to me first is a self-disciplined act. Showing gratitude to yourself every day.
Yeah. Start inward first.
Start inward first. And especially like for men, I find that it's difficult for us to express our emotions in general, especially beyond the anger, happiness type of emotion. It's easy for men to express anger, and it's easy for us to express happiness. But all those other emotions in between, I found it's been very challenging for myself and for a lot of the male friends in my life, other entrepreneurs and just friends in general, to experience. So gratitude is a huge one. So I like expressing gratitude through volunteering. That's a first one. I volunteer a lot. That's a big part of our activated movement. It's about giving back. It's about showing empathy to others. And when you can show empathy to others, then you can show empathy to yourself, right? And vice versa.
And you use that word empathy, which I find I'm constantly trying to unpack. What does that mean? What does empathy mean to you?
Well, it's about not being so hard on yourself. When you screw something up, don't beat yourself up about it. Have a little empathy for yourself. Be softer on yourself and just lean into, okay, what can I learn so I don't do that again? And then it's a growing moment. It's not a moment you screwed something up. And it's all based on words. It's all based on, how we interpret these things ourselves. And we can beat ourselves up, or we can have empathy for ourselves. We can have empathy for the employee, who's come in late 2 days in a row, because we don't know why they're in late, but we can have empathy for it. Then we can sit them down. We can ask them what's going on. We can ask how we can support them, instead of chastising them and saying, you're supposed to be in at 9 o'clock. You came in 10 minutes late 2 days in a row. What the hell's the matter with you? These are the
that sounds like a Jersey response, by the way. You just gave me a Jersey response.
That's actually a lot of responses from CEOs. That's a lot of people, or managers, or people who are out of tune with like the surroundings and the emotional intelligence you need to be able to relate to other people.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, what on that empathy piece, I love that you went back to yourself. That's twice now you've gone back to saying, I need to look inward first so that I can have a better approach outward. I believe that too. In our debrief on the Blue Angels, it was always looking inward first of what went well and what you could have done better before you point a finger at somebody else. So in that example that you just gave about asking that employee, what have you learned? How do you still get their behavior to change? Because you use self-discipline. You use that word self-discipline. How do you get behavior to change in a case like that example that you just gave?
Well, I think the first thing is you need to be able to relate to whoever you're talking to. In order to be able to relate to them, you have to understand their circumstances. And in order to be able to understand their circumstances, you have to be vulnerable with them, because they won't be vulnerable with you. So it starts with vulnerability. If you can be vulnerable with things you struggle with and then put that out there to them, then they can possibly relate to some of those struggles, and they're easier to open up. And once they open up, then you understand their circumstances, and then you can build or give suggestions on what worked for you, not telling them what they should do, but showing examples of what worked for you, and that maybe they might want to take one of those and try it out themselves, and it could work for them also. And so I think that's kind of the process that you go through, but it all starts with being vulnerable, relatable, and then sharing experiences that have helped in your life that could potentially help in theirs.
Yeah, I love it. Strength and vulnerability. Most people don't realize, especially men, let's say, if you want to stereotype, there is actually strength and vulnerability, right? And I like what you just said, and that is, if you can be the leader, if you're the one that's confident enough in yourself, if you're the one that is willing to show that vulnerability, you can be very strong in that, right? And use the word soft, and I agree. The idea of coming at, not in an aggressive way, but I call it strength with grace. Strength with grace.
Yeah, completely.
Hey, Michael, I just heard that you're a vegetarian, and I think that's pretty cool. Tell me about that. Why did you become a vegetarian, and how does it make you feel right now?
Well, originally the doctors diagnosed me with coronary heart disease. So
Okay.
they kind of suggested a specific diet of only eating, certain types of meats and all this stuff. And I just said, you know what? I'm just going to give up meat. I'm just going to become vegan. And I have.
Are you actually vegan, not even vegetarian?
I have heart disease in my family, so I just said, you know what, screw it, I'm going to become vegan. So I went vegan, and I did vegan for 2 years, and then over the past 6 months, I recently reintroduced eggs into my diet. So technically, I'm vegetarian now because I eat eggs, but I don't eat any meat or fish. I feel amazing. I mean, I'm the lightest I've ever been. I'm in the best shape of my life. I do miss sushi from time to time. I'm a big sushi guy. And I am going to, when I go to Japan, I'm breaking this fast, I'm telling you. I will eat sushi for 2 weeks straight and then feel like overdosed on mercury and lay in a hotel for a week to recover. But I'm fine with it. I'm already preparing. Yeah.
Hey, tell me how long, because I'm not a vegetarian, but I appreciate people who are, because I can see it. You can usually see it in their face. You see it in their body. How long did it take from when you committed to doing that till you actually saw the results or felt better?
It wasn't anything like that for me. It was just like, I wasn't feeling, I was feeling fine. So it wasn't like I was doing it to feel better. I was feeling fine.
Yep.
So I was doing it really because of the heart issue, and because I want to live to infinity. So in order to achieve that, I need to start taking care of myself and my body. So, but I do feel a lot lighter on my feet. It's been a little challenging, like nailing down 3 meals a day type stuff, 2 meals a day. I'm really, I nosh a lot. So I snack a lot.
What's that called? I didn't get that word.
Nosh, N-O-S-H. It's like, I don't know. I guess a Jersey word or something.
Yeah, I was gonna say I've never heard that, but
my grandma used to say it. So, but yeah, so I could do it even more precise if I wanted to, but I'm really happy with how it's going now.
Cool. Hey, you wrote a book, and in fact, you got it handy. Go ahead and show everybody, the ones on YouTube, your book. Tell me about Chasing the High.
Sure, it's Chasing the High: An Entrepreneur's Mindset Through Addiction, Lawsuits, and His Journey to the Edge. And this is a picture of Mount Kilimanjaro. When I climbed Kilimanjaro, I actually took this on the top of Kilimanjaro.
Yeah. Hey, let's talk about that real quick. Then we'll get deeper into the book. So Killy and I just climbed Kilimanjaro last year. When was it that you climbed that?
I think it was 3 years ago.
So before the pandemic, before the COVID.
Yeah, before the pandemic.
What was that experience like? For you, and then we can go back and forth, but why did you use that as the picture on your book?
Because it's an awesome picture. But the experience itself, I had been running marathons and through Leukemia Lymphoma Society. So I would raise money and I would run marathons. So I did that 4 times.
Beautiful.
Through team and training. And then they offered to go climb Mount Kilimanjaro. It's called Climb for a Cure. So you raise money for leukemia and you train and climb Mount Kilimanjaro. So that's why I did it. And I like doing epic things I've never done before. Like this year, I'm doing this race called 29.029. And you're basically climb up a mountain as many times as it takes to climb the height of Everest. So you're familiar with it, yeah? Yeah,
actually, I live in Sun Valley, and they had that event here last summer, and I know it goes around. Where are you going to go to do that?
Vermont. I'm doing it in Vermont.
Beautiful. Do you know how many events they have now a year? I'm just asking.
They have 3 locations and then 3 events at each, 2 or 3 events at each. So one's in Canada, Whistler. One's in Utah and one's in Vermont. And
yeah, it's awesome. I'm so glad you're going to do that. But I think the bigger purpose is, like you said, climb for a cure. Now, is that part of 2909 or is that some other program?
No, separate, completely separate.
Got it.
That's part of Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. So
beautiful.
29029 is like Jesse Itzler's thing, if you're familiar with Jesse.
I'm not.
You should check him out. You would love him. He's an endurance athlete. He started Marquis Jet and Zico Water, sold those for hundreds of millions, and did the theme songs for every basketball team in the country and every NBA team. And he's married to Sarah Blakely, who started Spanx.
No kidding. What's his name again? What's his name?
Jesse Itzler. He's part owner of Atlanta Hawks. He's an amazing guy.
Do you know him?
Yeah.
Hey, we might want to get a referral because I'd love to have him on the podcast after you, of course, because I want to hear you. But keep going. So you're climbing Kili, and you did it for a cure, right? To raise money.
Yeah, we raised money for leukemia, and then I climbed it, obviously, to push myself, and it was an amazing experience.
Which route did you go? Do you remember?
It was an 8-day route. So,
yeah, 8 days. Okay.
It was a little bit longer than most of the routes. You climb up and then climb down. Get acclimated to the altitude.
Yeah.
And it was an amazing experience.
How about that last day? By the way, I think we climbed a similar route. I think we did it in 7, but it's the idea. Anybody who's listening, the key about Kili in any climb is you got to acclimate yourself, right? Even the people going to, Everest, right? Your base camp. So that's what we did, right? Right, Michael? You climbed up, you went back down. We slept, a night, climbed a little more. But tell me about the last night. You remember when they wake you up about midnight and you start climbing to get to the summit at sunrise? Yeah. Is that how you guys did it?
Yeah, exactly. I was like dead tired, like falling asleep on my feet. Because I stayed up late the night before talking to one of the porters that I became friends with. So I was like, I didn't follow the proper protocol. But it
sounds like that's normal in your life.
Normal, completely. You took the words out of my mouth. But it was an amazing climb, and I finally got up there. I was in tears. My friend had just climbed it a month before, and he passed away a couple of days after in a freak accident. He was a Navy SEAL. He did 6 tours, and he ended up drowning off the coast of Tanzania spearfishing in a freak accident. But he had just climbed Kilimanjaro 2 days before. So I ended up doing it in his honor. And so I was in tears.
What was his name, by the way? Let's honor him right now.
Yeah, his name is Mark. He was.
Thank you for bringing him up.
His name is Mark Weiss, and he's an amazing human being. And he was just like MacGyver type of guy. He could figure anything out, and he was the leader of his SEAL team in San Diego of like 50 guys. So it was a tough loss. I mean, he was 35 years old. It was very, very tough. But I did it in his honor, and it was an amazing climb. And then I was able to get this picture at the top of it. And my brother was all, I was telling my brother, because he's a photographer. I said, this photography thing isn't that difficult. Look at this picture I got. And he didn't like that, but luckily they were able to put it on my book. And the book itself is all about, I just turned to this page. It's called The Habit of Habit Making. And it's really like I have a whole chapter on money, a chapter on, my lawsuit, addictions, how I changed my behaviors, how I overcame things in business, and how important it is to get in a habit of making habits for yourself, positive habits, and getting in that routine.
Okay, speaking of habits, because I ask this a lot of people, what's your morning routine? I mean, what's the habit you have when you wake up?
I stretch every morning before I get out of bed because I had 2 back surgeries. So that's about 20 to 25 minutes. Then I should have
gone to Joe before you had the surgeries.
I wish I knew Joe. I didn't know who he was at the time. Yeah.
Right.
And then I walk my dog because he's going to pee in the house unless I take him out. So
isn't it cool how animals can make us better people? I don't want to get too sidetracked here, but that unconditional love, but also they make you get out. In fact, for everyone that's watching this, I asked to take a break in the middle of the podcast because my dog, Ruby, had got loose. I'm looking out my window going, holy crap, I gotta go get her, right? But the key, I think what you're saying, Michael, I know for me too, is they get you out, right? You get to get outside, you get to feel the air, the freshness. Yeah, they're going to the bathroom, but it's different, right? At least that's my experience. What about you? So you walk your dog, what else?
You can't be lazy with a pet, like a dog,
Yeah.
especially. You just can't be. So yeah, and then I kind of do a walking meditation while I'm walking the dog in silence, no phone, no music, excuse me, and just being with the my dog, of course, but the sounds in the air, nature.
Now you're doing this in Tulum, right? So you're walking on the beach. Where do you like to go?
Either in the beach or the neighborhood. Every other day I go to the beach, take him to the beach, and then every other day I walk in the neighborhood. So, which is kind of a little jungly. So,
Okay. Hey, what kind of dog you got?
he's a mix. So I adopted him. He's a street dog.
Yep.
But I did an Amazon test. The test through Amazon.
Yeah.
He's 20% American Pit Bull and 80% American Caribbean street dog.
Really?
So he's like from the Caribbean originally and made his way up to Mexico somehow, or his breed or his parents or whatever.
Holy
Right.
cow. Hey, by the way, thanks for rescuing. We rescued our dog. Her name's Ruby, but she's a Rhodesian Ridgeback, and she's the third rescue that we've had. The other two were Weimaraners. But yeah, so let's keep going with your habits, because I really want to dive into the habit of making a habit. So anything else?
By the way, this is him.
Nice.
This is my dog.
Oh, look how sweet. Good
So
guy.
happy.
How much does he weigh?
About 35 pounds.
Wow. See, he weighs more than I thought. Yeah, Ruby's about 75, but go for it. Okay, so what other cool habits you got going?
I mean, every day I do a combination of either reading or journaling. I write poetry when I journal sometimes. So I do a combination of those two things.
Yep.
I'll also work out every day, either run or lift or yoga. So I try to rotate between the three of those things.
Yeah.
I'm a runner. I like running and I like taking the dog for a run. So those are all, and then I always have my morning latte. I love my latte.
Okay, tell me how you make your latte, because what's your technique?
I usually don't make it. I go out and get it. Yeah.
Okay, I got you. All right. What so I love that you brought in the exercise, because I think I have a similar routine of actually I start with gratitude, and we're going to talk a little bit about this. You might want to drop this into your habits. Is I wake up with what I call the glad to be or wake up. Most of my listeners know what that is. I'm not going to go through it again. The idea of just starting with gratitude, and that you could do that while you're stretching in bed, by the way. Oh, look, you already got it. Talk to me about it. Talk to me about your journal.
Yeah, this is called the 100 Days of Gratitude. So every day it's a journal for recording each day's best moments. So
Nice.
every day it starts with today I am thankful for. And then I write a list of everything down there. And then it says, and then on the back, it's like you draw a picture or something that inspires you. So yeah, so I'm working, I don't do it every day. I do it like every other day. So it'll be 200 days, not 100. But yeah, I'm writing what I'm grateful for every day in that book, or every other day.
That's so cool. Here's a couple of technique items. We're putting together what we call the gratitude pack. It's going to be ready in March, okay? And it'll help people. And part of it is journaling. I call it my glad to be here nightcap. And what I do at the end is I journal and I think about just what you said. What actually made today special? What made it awesome? And I'm thinking of people, not just events, right? And that's planting seeds in my mind as I fall asleep that will actually change. You not only sleep better, but you wake up in a higher state of being. And it turns out, doing some stats, 47%, supposedly 47% of people go to bed angry or mad or frustrated. Is that crazy?
Yeah, that's nuts. Not surprising, but nuts.
Not surprising. Yeah. So more on gratitude. So that's your gratitude book. Okay. How have you seen gratitude actually change your life? How is that book, or how you're doing gratitude, how has it helped your life?
Well, I just think showing gratitude to others has allowed me to receive gratitude. I wasn't a good receiver for a while. Like every time somebody would give me a compliment, I would feel I have to give them a compliment, right?
Oh,
Instead of just saying, thank you. So I've been able to lean into
yeah.
receiving a lot better, and I think it's important that we all receive because when you give, then you receive.
Yeah.
And by receiving and just sitting with the thought and feeling the feeling of how good it can feel to receive, you can really embody your best self.
Hey, I got a story real quick. Let me share it with you. My mom taught me that, how to say thank you. I think I was in fourth grade. Okay. It was this part of my life. And I played sports. I was playing football in a little kids football league. And I had scored the touchdown that won the game, right? And it was a pass play. It was a pass play from my friend Robbie, who was the quarterback. I caught the ball random. It was easy, ran for a touchdown. And at the end, everybody's coming up to me and saying, good game, John. Hey, all this kind of stuff. And my reaction was, I just said, oh, it's Robbie's pass. It's Robbie's pass. It was Robbie's pass. And finally, after a while, I'll never forget this moment. My mom pulled me aside and she said, John, sometimes it's okay just to say thank you, right?
Yeah.
and I have never forgot that. I still acknowledge other people as much as I can, but it was okay. It's okay to receive and just say thank you, right? Do you have a story like that resonates with you?
It's a great lesson. Nothing that hits me off the bat, but I do remember somebody telling me, like, why do you always feel like you need to say something back when somebody gives you a compliment? It's the same thing with a gift. I would always feel like, oh, if they bought me a gift, I have to buy them a gift back. So it was just something I worked on and am much better at receiving now.
Now I'm with you. Okay. Hey, let's give me, as we start to wrap up the podcast, give me some of the gems from your book. I mean, we've talking about so many things in your life. I've got a couple here, but I don't know what you want to bring up. 3 ways to eliminate chaos from your life. You got 4 simple steps to regain control through faith. By the way, this is the research that my buddy Sugar, who you mentioned, who you've seen. Give me some of the gems from your book for the people.
Yeah, I mean, avoiding chaos is an important one. And you can do that from a work standpoint and from your life standpoint by just organizing yourself a little better.
Okay, so organization.
Organization's important. Scheduling. I always have a to-do list, right? I'm a big to-do person.
Okay.
So I like checking those off. I get a little rush, right? When I'm getting through.
Hey, organization is scheduling. And I apologize, Blue Angel Safety. We had to reschedule you a couple times for this podcast. So we're messing with you, not on purpose. But I want to apologize and say, thank you for making it happen.
You're welcome. We're here. We're making it happen. We're activated. It's
happening.
So avoiding chaos is especially with your energy. I feel like it's really important to protect your own energy, which means, yes, go and help people, but people who aren't ready to be helped or aren't ready to receive you in that way, understand that and move on. You can't help somebody who's not ready to be helped. So that's something I learned. If you want it more than they want it, then they don't really want it. And your energy is best spent somewhere else. So those are really important things. Oh, something that's really important for me is time blocking. So when I really have some, things that I want to accomplish, it's a very basic skill. It goes back hundreds of years, but blocking 3 hours out on your calendar, removing your cell phone from the room you're in, turning everything off, maybe playing some music in the background to get you in a flow, but focusing specifically for those 3 hours on what you are trying to accomplish. Putting the dog in the other room, putting the TV off, everything. Don't answer the phone, don't do anything, and time block. Then you can really focus and remove a lot of chaos around you. Also, sleeping with making sure your phone is in a different room than you are when you sleep. So when you wake up, you're not grabbing your phone as the first thing, because as soon as you do that, then your day you're not being proactive with your day, you're being reactive. So you're starting your day off in a reactive state because you're going to react to whatever you read on that phone, whether it's social media, whether it's an email, whether it's the news, whatever it is. And, doing your morning meditations and doing your morning walks and doing your morning breath work, stretching, whatever it is, without that, eases you into the day. At least for me, I'm talking about myself, eases me into the day. And then I'm able to tackle some of the other things without having such a cluttered, chaotic mindset.
Well, I love you brought up the idea of the phone and taking it in a different room. I actually use my phone as my alarm, which I'm going to change because that's the problem is you got to reach for the phone. But I'm with you that and usually I don't need an alarm. I'd say rarely ever do I need an alarm.
Yeah, you don't seem the type of guy who needs an alarm to wake up.
No, I'm waking up whenever I need to wake up, right? But I'll also be able to sleep. If I'm on a down day, I can sleep. Now, the key here, though, what you just said is proactive versus reactive. I just want to stamp that because that's a really cool way to look at it. A lot of us think that, I'm getting caught up on the day, or I want to, be present and all that. And I'm like, okay, but I like what you just said, set your own day and be proactive. So I just took that away. That's a big takeaway for me on why to leave your phone out there. Plus all the energy stuff. I mean, I don't know, not to get sidetracked, but is all that cellular energy, and usually you put the phone by the nightstand, which is where your head is. I'm going, man, that can't be good. So I'm on airplane mode or I'm turning my stuff off, man.
Yeah, it's definitely a practice, and you have to be, conscious about it in order to practice it. It also allows you to be present in the present moment. The phone, and I'm working on this, so I by no means have mastered this, but the phone takes us out of being present with people, present with ourselves, present with our animals, present with whoever.
Yeah.
That phone takes us away from that. And I think that's like one of the things that causes the most distraction and chaos in our lives.
Yeah, no kidding. Be here now, right? That's becoming a new mantra for me. I am here now is another one I say a lot because there is a lot of distractions we can get caught up in, right? Especially with the people who are close to us. How many times you go to a restaurant and you see a family and they're not even talking, right? They're on their phone or a couple or something, So it's a big one for me, and it's not easy. I know what you mean because you got so much to catch up on. But that be here now. Do you have certain mantras? You've done a lot of work. Do you have certain mantras or certain sayings that even quotes that you live your life by? What are some big ones?
I mean, the one I got tattooed on my arm is a pretty big one.
That's huge.
Yeah.
Say that again. I want to see it again because it's so powerful. I can't see it. Yeah, go. Yeah, there you go. Life is a gift. Gratitude is my signature. Wow.
It's signature. It's signature.
It's signature. Oh, okay. Gratitude is its signature.
Yeah. So that's a big one. I just like the word activated. It really gets me into the state of mind to focus and to get things done. And then, there's not like major, I'm not a major, I love mantras, but I don't have them written all over and stuff like that. It's really
I'm
more
with you.
about the one on my arm, staying activated. And, I created a mind movie. I don't know if you ever heard of mind movies, but
no, what's that?
It's basically an app. You can go online and it's called Mind Movies. You could create a movie of your future self, bringing your future closer to you. So whatever it is you want in your future, you can put it on that movie with songs, with mantras, with all that. That's something Dr. Joe used to do with his people. And that's something I've incorporated. My friend actually makes them now.
Nice.
So that's a big one also, to listen into the morning and to put into your subconscious. So you're striving for those things all day.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. That's a good hack, man. I like that. I'm going to check that out. That's powerful. Hey, I wanted to circle back. This is for really my own knowledge, but I think everyone's listening. You said there's 8 chakras, and I know there's, people say 7, 6. There's different ones. Let's go back to that energy, because we started the podcast with energy, and that flow in your body and that experience that you had walking on the beach. I mean, that's powerful, right? So did you feel that energy kind of in your central spine, or was it just throughout your whole body? How did you feel that energy?
It was really throughout my whole body at that point. I was like breathing deeply and releasing it and pushing it through my crown chakra, and it reverberated, like it caused this vibration through my whole body. So it was unlike anything I had ever felt, but it was electric. And it's like that DMT release. So,
What's DMT?
So DMT is a chemical within your brain that if you hit your pineal gland, it will release. Okay. I'm not an expert in this, so I might not be explaining it properly, but it'll release this DMT, which people smoke DMT to reach this high. You can also smoke it, right? Really? But you can create it yourself.
Nice.
So within your brain through breath work and through hitting your pineal gland. It's really all about your pineal gland, which is up here in your seventh chakra.
Oh, wait, you were pointing to the seventh. Where's that? Is it where the pineal gland is, or is it more your third eye?
Well, your seventh is kind of your third eye. Pineal gland's kind of in back here between both.
Okay. And then the eighth chakra is
your sixth and seventh. Your eighth chakra is kind of like all around you.
I see.
Whole aura, right?
Which is the crown? Is that more the seventh?
Yeah. From what I understand. Yeah.
Okay. Got it.
But again, I'm no expert. I just participate. I'm a participant. So it was this amazing feeling throughout my body and everything.
That's epic. Hey, I want people to know how to get a hold of you. I mean, that book, it's your life, right? And what you've learned and how to help people. Talk to me about Fate real quick, and how can they what's the best way for people to connect with you?
Yeah, sure. Just instead of Fate, I'll talk about briefly my retreats.
Okay, good.
I run activated retreats every year in Dominical in Costa Rica. They're focused on entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, executives. Okay. And we focus on aligning your PMES, which is your physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual practices with your mission and goals in life. And we do that through a series of ice baths, of yoga, of breath work, of alignment assessments, of music workshops and integrating it into your work, of how to get into a flow state, of how to deal with emotional conversations. And we do it having a shit ton of fun. We go on walks in nature, silent walks. We have waterfalls. We go down to we have a beach party. We have a fire circle. We have cacao ceremonies. It's epic. So if anybody's interested in that, please reach out and contact me. I'm glad to tell you more about it. My book, Chasing the High, is on Amazon and Audible. I actually read it myself on Audible. So appreciate your support on that, and anything you learned or anything from that, please give me a shout. The easiest way to reach me is probably through social media. On Instagram, I'm at MDASH1, and on Facebook, I'm just Michael Dash. I'm also on LinkedIn and all these other sources. And my website is, www.michaelg-.com.
Yeah. Okay. Michael, we'll make sure everybody that's in the show notes. Which is the preferred way? If they're going to do one, what would you do?
Probably Instagram.
Okay. Instagram. Got it.
Instagram messages are probably the easiest.
Okay. Awesome. So I like to wrap up with a glad to be here statement, and I'll go first, and then I'd like you to take us home. What are we grateful for in the present moment right now? I just want to say thank you, Michael, for being here, but mostly for the inspiration you gave of how you started in your life, but what you've learned now, and how you're practicing that, and how you're activating it and giving back. So first off, thanks for being here. Glad to be here. What does glad to be here mean to you?
I'm glad every day to wake up and step outside to the life that I've created through all the turmoil, challenges, depression, addiction, that I've been able to create a life that fulfills me that fulfills my heart every day by helping others, by giving back, by continuing to work on myself, by having my puppy, by doing it my way, by not listening to society and societal norms as to what success is, but by creating my own definition of success. And that's what I embody. And that's why I'm glad to be here every day and continuing to pay it forward, because if you pay it forward, it will always pay you back.
Michael, fulfillment, man, and way to activate fulfillment. Thank you. Glad to be here. Gucci out.
Thank you.